here with Mark from Alter Bridge. Mark, first question I have for you guys. You guys have been touring almost nonstop since the October release of Blackbird. How's the tour going so far?
Oh, great, man. It just keeps getting better, man. Today's going to be fantastic, and we're going to head to Europe next month, so we're excited about the whole tour.
How were the writing sessions different from your first release?
The writing sessions?
Yeah.
Well, this time around, Miles and I played much more of a closer role in songwriting. You know, we on the first album we had to get it out quick, so most of it fell on my shoulders. On this album, we had 3 years of touring, so everybody kind of fit into their new roles, and me and Miles kind of became a songwriting team, so we kind of split it up.
So it's a better groove this time around than it was last time.
Absolutely. You know, having Miles in the band takes a huge weight off my shoulders. You know.
So what can we expect the new video for Watch Over You to be released?
I don't know. I guess the song has to get some traction at radio before we shoot a video, but we've got a great treatment. You know, we're just ready to pull the trigger on it.
What about the video before tomorrow comes?
The same thing. If it gets traction, we'll record it. If not, you know, can't really get people to throw a bunch of money at something if it doesn't have traction. So.
I read that you and your drummer, Scott Phillips, had to buy a contract to Wind Up Records and fund the production of your sophomore effort, Blackbird. Can you tell us exactly what happened with that?
Well, with our first record label, they kind of didn't give us any support with the album. You know, we would run into promoters and radio personnel, and they'd ask, "Where's your record label?" And after hearing that about, 30 times, it's time to get away from your record label. So we believed in Alter Bridge, even if they didn't, so we needed to buy off the label, and it's served us very well.
It's kind of like maybe like people like maybe a Creed kind of thing. You kind of want to get away from that.
Yeah, I think that they're missing their cash cow, and they were thinking too much about trying to get the Creed back together than really pushing Alter Bridge. Those are the rumors that we heard, so we had to get away from it.
I think it's fantastic that it shows a dedication, something that you believed in, that you're willing to take a huge sacrifice to make something like that happen.
What else am I going to do, You're
a fantastic guitar player. I'm sure you could do anything, but I'm just saying with a project like that, that's cool that you did that.
Thank you very much, man.
When you were younger, what made you decide to pick up the guitar?
I was just drawn to it, man. Every time I'd hear a song on the radio that had a big guitar break, like a Boston tune, or even Jay Giles' Love Stinks, or something where the guitar just was featured, I was always drawn to it. My older brother Mike's favorite bands were Van Halen and Kiss, and I just, very heavy guitar bands. And, guitar players are always my favorite guys in the band, and I was just drawn to it. So for years I asked for a guitar, and finally I found one for $10 and started just teaching myself when I was about 11.
Were you self-taught or did you take lessons?
I took one lesson, and then they tried to teach me Silent Night or some I had no interest in learning, so I quit and I just tried to learn on my own. Bought books and DVDs or VHS tapes at the time, and
who are you? I know you mentioned Van Halen, Kiss, and like heavy guitar, probably like Randy Rhoads and obviously the Angus Brothers. Who were your influences growing up?
Metallica, Slayer. Guitar-wise, just all the Exodus and Testament, Anthrax, and then when I got older, I got more into guys like Stevie Ray and Doyle Bramall and Eric Johnson, Audley Freed. I love Joe Bonamassa now. I think he's a great guitar player. A lot of bluesy stuff. I'm trying to look for the classy, classy shred kind of thing. Yeah.
During the late 1990s, you were the only one playing solos, like obviously with Creed. Now it seems to be coming back a little bit. A lot of guitar players are starting to bring back the solos. What are your feelings about that?
Oh, I think it's great, man. It's something I love to do, so I'd like to see more people drawn to it, because it's, when there aren't a lot of guitar solos going on in the business, I don't think people get it as much. But if it's something that's featured more, it's as long as it's not just noodling for the sake of noodling, guitar solos are great. I just think it got to a point in the 80s where it just got to be a little showy, and some of the heart, fell out of it, especially with the big hair and everything, But
there was a lot of good musicians. Unfortunately, like you said, it was more show than glow, so to speak. But there was a lot of good musicians that obviously came out of the 80s that weren't taken serious because of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you had so many incredible players. Guys like Nuno and Warren DeMartini and even when Vi and Satch were through the 80s, they were incredible players. But yeah, it's those guys are all still around, and they're coming back out on reunion tours, so you can still catch all the guys that were the great players. I just saw Warren D last year, so it's great to still see those guys playing.
We did interview with Warren. He was a fantastic guy. You are looked at as one of the more highly regarded guitarists that come out in the last 15 years. Like I was asking you earlier, who are your favorites growing up, like when you were growing up, not now, but like you said Metallica, but who was the one guitarist that you looked at when you first picked up the guitar and emulated?
I was kind of a mixture in between punk and metal. I loved, my two favorite bands at the time were Metallica and Black Flag, so I loved the technicality and the rhythm, mostly the big downstroke gallopy kind of rhythms that Metallica did, but I also loved the anger and the pure just the pure hatred that poured out of Black Flag and some of their stuff. So I tried to combine the two, and I also loved the dynamics that Metallica used. They were I think a lot of my style came from the fact that they had a lot of finger-picking stuff like, songs like Fade to Black and Call of Cthulhu and songs like that, where you had the nice finger-picked pattern into the big ballsy, the big chorus parts. But I would say probably the biggest influence is Metallica.
So like you're saying Kirk Hammett was the big, Kirk and James were a big influence, yeah.
Yeah, both, because I got a lot from them. I got... whoever was coming up with a lot of their finger-picked, tasteful patterns is probably who I learned the most from.
Have you ever been approached to do any instructional video?
I just recorded one. Yeah, I just did. I just recorded a video. It's coming out probably in July, and it features Michelangelo Badio does a half-hour lesson on there. Rusty Cooley's on there. Troy Stetna, who sold over 1 million instructional books. Bill Peck, who's one of the best tappers I've ever seen, and Miles Kennedy does a improv-y, kind of jazzy improv session on the DVD. But what I did is it's all shot in high def. What I did that I wanted to see other people do in their instructional videos was not just sit in front of a screen and show exercises, but show their actual guitar solos. It's always tough. When I was younger, it was very tough for me to pick up a CD and buy a tab book and rely on somebody else's tab when tab is 90% of the time wrong. It's not. I think that's one of the worst things that ever happened to the guitar world is faulty tab people. When I bought the Metallica Master of Puppets book, I thought I was just bad because what I was playing did not match what I was hearing. So what I did on this DVD was I took every solo from the new record, broke every solo into like 4 bits, played them up to speed, slowed them down, pointed out all the more difficult patterns that you might not recognize, and showed actually what we were doing on the record. So
what kind of distribution are we going to see with that?
At first, we're going to do it all online through all of our online sites, and then maybe when in the fall we'll start looking to places like Guitar Center or whatnot for distribution. But retail always kills the profits. So, all the diehards are going to find it online. So we want to keep it afloat. We want to go and approach a lot of other guitar players because this new company that they're trying to launch is much more in the artist's favor. It's going to split proceeds with all the guitar players instead of putting it in their own pocket.
What's in Mark Tremonti's CD player right now?
In my CD player right now are backing tracks for improv, pretty much, yeah. Other than that, I've got, a bunch of guitar DVDs. Eric Johnson's in there, Bonamassa. Joe Bonamassa's new CD is one I've listened to a lot recently. I'm real excited to go get the new Opeth CD. I heard that was really good. But I still listen to, Celtic Frost, probably most, Metallica, Celtic Frost, yeah.
You've been working with Miles Kennedy for 4 years now. What are some of the differences in working with singers, I should say the singers Miles Kennedy and Scott Stapp?
Well, Miles is one of those guys that since he was a little kid, all he ever wanted to do was be a musician. He started out as a guitar player, became a singer because he was tired of dealing with singers, and he's just a well-rounded, brilliant, one of the most talented people I've ever met. Whereas Scott, talented singer with a natural voice, great stage persona, writes some great lyrics, but at the same time doesn't have that. Miles lives it and breathes it every day of his life, and that's kind of how I am. I love music. There's nothing that could take me away from it. Miles is the same way. We're on the same page, whereas Scott was more, brought into music and later in life. It was kind of it is me and Miles' life, and I think Scott kind of stumbled into it later in life. So he's just much more of a diehard, more well-rounded guy, and I think he's a better guitar player than I am. He's an incredible guitar player. I don't know if the world knows it yet, but he played in house jazz bands for years. He won all kinds of guitar contests, and he, like I said, the only reason he's a singer is because he didn't want to deal with singers anymore. So he's an incredible player.
Well, right. When you guys are there writing, then who takes the do you guys like argue or say, is it a struggle to like for your licks? Who's gonna have, obviously you're the lead guitar player, but if he comes up with a cool riff and you come up with a cool riff, I mean, how do you guys determine like what riff you guys are gonna use for a song?
Well, Miles is always really good about not stepping on my toes. He's the singer, I'm the guitar player. He's always been real complimentary to my riffs. He loves the stuff I do, so he just usually what happens is one of us will bring in a piece of music and the other one will color it with their own style, and we don't step on each other's toes. It's his style is so different than mine that they complement each other well. It's worked out great.
A couple of our female readers want me to ask you this. They want me to ask you how you stay in such good shape.
I don't. I don't, man. I'm a father now, so when I'm at home, I hardly get any time to stay in shape anymore. But it's just discipline of waking up and getting down there and yeah. It's all about discipline, I guess.
Any closing thoughts to our readers out there?
Oh man, just come check us out. If you haven't heard us, come see us live.
Thank you for taking the time. And Mark Tremonti here from Alderbridge. Thank you.